Welcome back from the commercial break. We are doing towards the closure of our program, and we will be realistic on the policy strategies that we need to especially, empower government to take into consideration in the area of education and sports. Our call comes at a place when we are saying, wow, we are sending congratulatory messages to Chipulimo, Teach, and in a midst also where most of the youth population also there and the older, the adult, you're saying, let me put me, I'm Manchester, me, I'm what, I'm Arsenal, I lost Mulao, by the way, let me tell you this, and the viewers, during 1996, when I was studying at St. Mary's College Shoroza, African teams were doing well in sports, especially football, and Nigeria was among the best, and also Uganda was doing well. I remember the likes of the Majidi Musisi. And I was developing that kind of urge to like sports. And at a certain time when we have these good boxers, when they were coming up, they were becoming my inspirer. And they were really an inspiration to us, and maybe to many outside there. But the moment they began to run out of, successful competitive races, a certain time when Nigeria was about to, went through the second round and was about to go to the second round, and the Senegal, I was very happy. I am a Pan-African, so I do incline myself to that. I said, wow, Africans were doing it well. But the trend now, where people are betting, you're betting Manchester bet versus, and we are now in the East African region. I would like to see a country and a region where even the area of sports we are concentrating on it very much, emphatic on it. And looking at Uganda, of course we cannot go to the region before we start with ourselves. A lot is needed to be done. Sports, we are talking about football, we are talking about boxing, we are talking about swimming, we are talking about, you can mention more. A lot is needed. And the commentators of the report which I have of 2001, the training and capacity building are key to consider. And those who are interested in athletic development and support, you must support. And also the material support is key. And then the direct actual implementation of these activities. And then finally, what the report summarily states also looks at facilitation of partnership. As we draw toward the close of our program, how can we build on this narrative to have substantive policy recommendation, policy strategies that maybe the policymakers and the citizens may applaud to take on to in the next maybe 5 or 10 years to have turn around our fortunes to be best?
I think we need to start a complete discussion that is honest, that is informed, that actually helps our country make a difference. It bothers me, and it used to bother me so much, several years, where we have professors, doctors who cannot still tell the government the truth. And that's why I'm impressed, and one of the reasons why I work with Dr. Lawrence Muganga as the Vice Chancellor of Victoria University, because when I first met him, like close to 5 years, not 5 years ago, it should be like 2 to 3 years ago, the things he said are the things I had always been imagining can be done in this country. The things that I thought that were so foreign and alien to Uganda were the things he said he could do. And I have seen him over the last 2 years doing them at Victoria University, where you change the grading system, where you change the teaching system to make it more practical, where you make it technological-led kind of education, where you make sure you train the graduates that are demanded by the employers. Now, to make sure we have a transformation, we must have people who are in the higher ranks of education, professors, head teachers, policy analysts. You should be able to tell the government the truth. You must be able to tell the parliamentarians the truth. To change the country does not require us to first have a revolution. A revolution is me and you telling the people the truth, the people in power, the truth of the things they need to transform and change. We're having an Education Review Commission. I've not even seen them consulting. So I wonder what they're going to write, where it's coming from. Are they going to study other countries, do content analysis, literature review, and write a report?
Consult like at Victoria. And
exactly, and even other universities, Victoria University, go to schools, go to villages, talk to people. Dr. Njeba is here, is so much interested in policies, issues, and social justice. What have you asked him? Have you had his open discussion about these things? Because for him, he will tell you what he thinks, not things you like, not things government wants. He's going to tell you the honest bit of it, and you pick from that, and if you don't like it, so be it, as long as he has told you what you've got to do. And that's the same thing. We need to have a complete honest discussion about our country's education system, without purging anything, without politicizing anything, without like massaging the ego of individuals and people in power. You tell them the truth and offer solutions. The biggest problem we have in this country also is that we have politicians and people criticize without offering solutions. I need to hear solutions. If this country gets to building a consensus on solutions for education system and experimenting new things, and it's okay, we can make mistakes along the way. But as long as this is what Vice Chancellor tells me, Dr. Westbrook, it's okay to make mistakes along the way. As long as the mistakes are not so damning to completely collapse us, we should be able to learn from our mistakes and build a system that helps transform the country's education. And we must have role modeling. Anyone who is running an institution and you're Vice Chancellor, and your institution cannot create a model that can be appreciated.
Where you are, and we want to come up with
education and sports. That's not I'm trying to avoid being cornered on education and sports alone, because it is just a simple component of the entire system of education. Education and sports is part of a component of what builds a child or a student or an individual to become a better person. Right now, I'm not a star in any sport, but the things I've learned in sports, because you see, you need to use sports to teach. There's a lot you can teach through sports for the learners to understand.
I have a reference to share with you.
That is what we call authentic learning.
I have a reference to share with you.
Yeah.
Recently, and maybe some other citizen may be attempted to do so. That's why I'm trying to come in with this intervention through this television without discussion to see what can be done. I have a relative got interested in her son. They were earning some money with an NGO as they are, getting pregnant. And they took the direction you are giving us about talent identification, skill, and so forth.
Yeah.
But it happened after the identification of the skill of sports, when there is no sports academy here, and also an enabling environment for their child to develop the skill. What they opted for, paying 10 million, paying over around 15 to 10 million to facilitate your son to go to study from UK. First of all, the government begins to lose money. How we are spending our shilling, it goes back again to buy more dollars. So because there was no academy here, sports academy, this parent, this relative, is paying around 12 million just per term, so that the child can develop the talent in a school abroad. And these are the areas we are saying we need to do.
And can I ask you something? If you are running an education institution, what is this that this child is getting from that school that can't be done here?
Now I'm also asking you, these schools we are talking about, especially including the universities, including the primary schools, what is failing to be done that can just need a talk and
I'll give you one thing. We realize whatever we are thinking that can be done abroad can be done here. At Victoria University, and I want people to pay attention to what I'm talking about, is that we focus on what is called competence-based education, which is built on the system of authentic learning. We believe there is no classroom that is big, that is better than the real environment where you're coming from. If you're teaching the student of journalism, what better environment is better than this studio? What better environment is him going to right now in Mbale and studying the problems of students, people in Mbale, the mud, the slides and every problem? The real environment we are in, the communities we live in, the environment we have around us is the best classroom anyone can ever have for any course. That is authentic learning, where you really get to use real life examples, real life studying to solve problems.
Using sports, do you have a gym there, for instance?
I don't have to be with, for instance, I don't have...
Because the gym is one of the ground train.
No, you see, you are trying to narrow this to sports.
It is deliberate.
No, I'm trying to give you a concept of teaching.
What I'm saying, Mr. Conan, I admit my kind of moderation. It is deliberate.
Your moderation is narrowing my thinking.
And let's be known to you and the viewers. And let's maybe, if we need to make an intervention of these other areas, we are deliberate in our discussion today, and as we conclude our discussion, to emphasize on sports. You are telling me to emphasize also on education, and to come up with the recommendations how we can promote sports. And don't mind with my narrow. You
are narrowing the building of the education system.
Kindly take it up from here. Major on sports reforms. And let's look. I
have deliberately taken almost an hour talking about sports reforms.
So let's look at.
And I've given you what we need to do to revise and build the sports system of this country. I've talked about budgeting. I've talked about setting model systems. I've talked about setting government modern training centers around the country. I've talked about talent search. I've talked about picking interest of a child growing. What do you want me to tell you about sports? What I've talked about.
So that we can demo.
No, I've actually made my case there. And I'm telling you that if you only think you're going to raise your child and he's only sports, if you have a son at home and you think the only thing I'm going to think is of him playing soccer, and you do not look at the complex component of building is all-round education. Let me just put it lightly. It's called all-round education. But education is not just in a classroom. That's exactly what I'm building. Education is the holistic way of teaching a child. But if you have a holistic way of teaching a child, they'll find themselves in the sports grounds. Footballer. Not everybody is going to be a boxer. Not everybody is going to be an athlete. Some of these students are actually going to be musicians. You ever have teaching of music in schools? Some schools to teach a child, and a child becomes of value, is look at competence-based education. You look at the child's abilities and develop those abilities. That is when you get a person who is fruitful to your community. The president has a number of times actually told people that UPE, you think UPE is about getting degrees. Me, even if you learn to speak English, it is enough for me in UPE. Obviously, some people would say that is rubbish. It's not rubbish, it's making a point. There were people who couldn't speak even simple English. Now you go to any part of this country and tell people, can I have some water? Even a border guy will understand what you're talking about. And I do not think you speak your local language when you're talking to most borders. Every number of times you meet them, I have 2,000, I'm going there. And the guy knows what you're even talking about.
The quality
really, do you even talk about
are you saying that is really so far the best? We have had cases of where employing people are very much disturbed of where you meet someone who stays that has gone through those UP you are talking about.
If anyone followed us
and maybe USE and cannot even be able to make an application for a job.
If anyone followed us,
we want the ballast.
If anyone followed us from the beginning, they would understand what I'm talking about. What I said from the beginning is that UPE has its own flaws, but don't think that whoever is going through UPE is completely a waste. I've got so many UP graduates who are stars, but I've also got so many UPE people who are failures in life. Many. But don't even keep it on UPE. I know so many people who have gone through private primary schools, the ones you are praising, and have gone through the best school, I don't want to mention their names, and have gone through these big schools where they even pay 2 million shillings, 3 million shillings as tuition every term. And they cannot even write a comprehensive letter, application letter. And now, so don't blame it on just on free education for secondary and primary to make a case for this. We just have to rethink our, but let me tell you something, what we're teaching about, how we're teaching students at Victoria University. We've even taken them back to what we call career hubs. In a career hub, we even teach you how to even keep time. We teach you how to write official letters. These are things you should get out of the university knowing. We know that your schools didn't teach you these things and you did not even practice them. Now we even give you a task to write a letter write a proposal, write a concept, write a project, ask for funding, and you really get the money, and it's part of your coursework. Ask for funding of a project you are starting at school. You must, if you don't get the money, then you fail that coursework. Now these are the things we are teaching, and these are the things that don't require you to go to the UK, as your friend has said, this child to UK.
No, because there is no sports academy here.
Well, there was a sports academy,
but so you can't cast on him because there is no sports academy here. That is, he could access.
I'm only saying the people who are starting these schools, the people who are running these schools as head teachers, as principals, as vice chancellors, we've got to think, as Dr. Res Muganga says, without a box. You need to do things that not necessarily have been in your institution, but now you need to think completely different. Do you know, have you ever thought of a university teaching people the things I've been telling you? No, I've never seen one. But that is exactly what we are doing, because we are being intentional to transform education as a role model institution. A lot of times when you say these things, people think you're just trying to do a PR and get students from your university. I don't care, by the way, and let me say this on camera. I don't care if you don't come to Victoria University. That's understandable. But what I'm telling you is that at least follow what we are doing. See what we are doing. If it makes sense, at least be able to model and be able to learn something. Maybe your son, your daughter, your other institution can pick a lesson. I'm not saying you should believe me and join Victoria University. It is understandable if you don't come. But let's try to look at what is being done as role models to be able to remodel and recraft our education system. And this has to be done by every institution from P1, from senior 1 to the university.
Okay.
All of us have a contribution to play in rejigging, in recrafting, in writing a new path for our education system, right from primary, secondary to university. How I wish I had resources, would start remodeled primary schools where your children, his brothers, do not even have your brother's children, don't even have to leave the country to go study somewhere else. Doesn't it shock you that someone can start a school without really putting a playground on it, without a pitch on it, without netball on it? Someone starts a school, how much is it if you can charge 2 million shillings? Why don't you put a swimming pool? What does it require?
Let me come in this way.
It requires you to dig a ditch, cement it, put water in it. Let
me come in this way. As you indeed give us the good information about Victoria University and beyond Victoria University,
any other institution,
to primary schools, secondary schools, then the university, which now is tending to be the climax of our discussion. We will remain indebted in our discussion, and the viewers outside there who have the authority to change things, that they need to bridge the gap in school dropout, the policy design of facilitating our children, especially the lunch facilitation, which has been a pledge of this government to take care of.
No, government has never.
Wait a bit.
Government has never pledged to provide lunch.
Please, this one I will not go into a contest on camera, but just take.
Maybe you're talking about
my remark, and I'm aware of it.
The government is going to provide lunch.
No, there's a time as the government pledged for that. To ensure, yes, of course, a pledge of a ruling party is a serious pledge,
okay.
And I do take into consideration. So the issue of lunch, to see whatever can be done, and the promotion of the effective learning, of where teachers can be paid whatever they are being paid, which is not low, but they cannot teach properly. These are the areas in terms of policy strategies that needs to be bridged. In my part of the observation I make in this discussion. Then number two, what I realize is important, and as you were giving in your input, is that those who have not made it, whether public, whether private, in government-aided schools or not government-aided schools, there should be a deliberate effort by the government not to indicate they are not failures. If someone finished, maybe dropped out from primary school, there's a time here I had a very objective discussion here when I had a certain guest, and it has created, I think I was with Dr. Kavera here, I liked that submission, and they form centers which is to identify those students who have not gone into those higher levels to develop the skills. And these are some of the strategies to me in my co-option that I would like us to look at. And also in my co-option, as I do this moderation, is to also both the private and the public institutions and those stakeholders, you know, the identification of the talent that was specifically submitted by you. But beyond the identification of the talents, there is a need to be deliberate and have a way forward that will put resources into the sports sector, and of which we'll come up with research, including like your universities which are bridging the gap, because I was honoring your final, your elaboration where you're saying that there are areas where you are trying to do what you can. And I'm not blaming you what you cannot, but still I also am an admirer, or I remain desiring that you do much more. You do much more than what you're doing. And in the area of sports, I would be happy if at all I joined you, whether in any way, or even if I don't join you in any way, or any other university where you find some of these centers, and we're saying it in the break, you find that in some of these institutions, they have a set gym, which is just to train people now to pick up where they are. And you find that besides having this, they are also having this, which can, and they have, number one, what we're talking about according to the USAID report, the training and the capacity building. What am I saying, Mr. Conan, as you also hear this observation? One, train physical education teachers. When we find that you have the Department of Education, I don't know how you've crafted, designed the courses, but we need this. You know, today, our interest, our Saturday today is education and sports. Would you make your final say, and then we close our program?
No, my final say, and I'll keep it on a general remark, is that the country's education determines our future, and our future lies in your hands and in my hands. We all have a responsibility to play to make sure we can transform this nation. The number of problems that are affecting this country, some of them are bigger problems that can't just be solved by money. Some of them have to be resolved by how we reason out things as individuals, as parents, as community members, as opinion leaders, as analysts, as local leaders, as parliamentarians. The contribution we will make is what will build our country. The number of achievements we've made, we have issues we have to clean up on, and my appeal to the Government Education Review Commission is that come to the people to get views. Your 10-member boardroom discussions are useless to this country. They will not solve the problems we have. Otherwise, anyone else like me and you can find other 8 people to sit down in a boardroom and make a decision. But that is not what this country needs. This country needs a complete rethink of education. This country needs to completely dig and follow people who are making a complete remodeling of education. Like some of the things we do at Victoria, some of the things these guys are just crazy. Some of the things have never been done in this country, and we are doing that on purpose. That we have to remodel our education. We have to be very intentional. Okay, even when people don't believe in what you are doing, gradually they will see sense in what we are trying to do. Okay. So as a country, we need a complete rethink. Okay. We need a complete reinvestment. Some of the things and investments have been done by government, some by the private individuals. You guys who are into running companies and organizations, you want good students, you want graduates. The question is, what is your contribution in the training and assessment of students? That's why we are starting the work integrated learning, where we give you learners to work with you for 2 years before we give them a certificate at their pass slips. So we give you 2 transcripts, one for academics, one for work integrated, that looks at the things you have actually learned from workplaces, where Dr. Atindieva signs off and says, this guy is very good on timekeeping, in teamwork, and innovation building, and is a very well done, is a well-trained student, and I recommend you to employ him.
In 2 minutes, tell us the best 8 courses that you are enrolling for September, so that one can be interested. Because they only give you 2 minutes for that.
Oh, thank you.
You came and I cannot really
thank you. And I'm glad you've given me this opportunity. Dr. Tindeba will like him so much because we build with him. One of the courses which we can leave out, we are starting next week, actually on 12th. We'll be starting with students of teachers around the country. We gave them a special offer. and they're just paying like around 460,000.
I want to come take the forms you get.
Yes, we have the forms. You just go on our website, or you can even just call us. If you go on our Facebook or Twitter account, you can easily get our details and guidance on how you can actually apply. And apart from that, you will have actually, so we have so many teachers of grade 3 and actually a diploma. Nowadays, if actually grade 3 teacher, you don't even have to go back and first do a diploma to be able to come and even do higher education. So no, you just straight away come now with actually sought approval from National Council for Education. It means that even if you're grade 3 teacher, you can now just get into a degree course and actually do your degree. So, but you just have to study 4 years compared to the other guys who have a diploma who are going to study for only 2 years. That's one of the biggest courses we're enrolling students. But we are starting several courses that are very interesting. We're starting a course in cryptocurrency, which hasn't been approved.
Cryptocurrency, yes. Is with what?
Teaching digital money.
Okay.
That's why we're taking our students. That's the future. We hope you understand that very well. We are in the final stages of having our course, other courses, approved new courses in sciences, in technology. We have started a special course in oil and gas.
Oil and gas?
Yes.
Which has money.
It has really good money.
How much to get that degree and certificate and diploma? Because some people, I reviewed the National Development Plan, and we need more workers for oil and gas.
Exactly. Most of these courses, they are below 1.7 per semester. You might have to pay.
That's a degree.
That's a degree
diploma
course. Without adding the functional fees. For diploma, most of them now, like oil and gas, don't have a diploma. But we have also diploma courses at the university in case you want to do diploma courses. We are grounded in several business courses, real estate, business administration, and the rest. We are grounded in having actually several health sciences students coming in. We have degrees in midwifery, degrees in nursing.
How much degree midwife?
Around 1.4 now per semester. That is looking at the tuition itself. Yes, and we think so many people can actually come in and be able to study. And we also have several courses in, you can actually do IT.